when you tell people who are doing their level best that either A, it's not good enough, or B, you're part of the problem, what do you expect?
Here's Scott Jennings, the one guy on CNN who occasionally makes sense.
I do think we have a crisis of especially young men in this country, and they're, in many ways disconnected from the rest of their families, disconnected from their communities, disconnected from our political culture, disconnected from our civil culture. And that's a real problem for a society that depends on all of us to be engaged and working together to make it as good of a country and as good of a society as it can be. I think the Democrats in this election made men feel like that the patriarchy is over, boys, and we're going to put you in the back seat for a while, and you're just going to have to accept it, without any thought to the ramifications of telling people who are out honestly trying to make a living, provide for their families, be good husbands, be good fathers. When you tell people who are doing their level best that either A, it's not good enough, or B, you're part of the problem, what do you expect? And then finally, as a political tactic, the attempt to put walls on the ticket, and that was going to somehow solve all of the problems that had been built up for years, was ridiculous, because it turns out Walz was the last person that men wanted to hear from. And I remember at the beginning of that whole campaign, when they put him on, I sat right here, and people were like, oh, they got camouflaged hats. They're going to be wearing them in the deer stands this fall. And I think to your point that you just made, that was not, that idea that was not formulated by a bunch of dudes who actually go deer hunting. It was come up with by a bunch of people who've never met a dude that actually goes deer hunting. But when you try to put that kind of window dressing on a real communications problem or a real relationship problem, it gets exposed immediately.
Yeah, I mean, every word of what he just said there is right. He's connecting it to what they have done and said to young men for so long that has led to now this, I would say, cultural shift that largely this MMA thing. It's why I'm always talking about the MMA stuff, even though it's not really my thing, although suddenly I'm into wrestling again. It's like there's something about young men that now, that went so awry that is now leading to the cultural shift that's connected to the return of Trump, right? It's obvious and it's real and it's true.